Molly, you are on mute.
Good morning and a warm welcome to everyone who has tuned in for today's session. I am Molly, and today, on the occasion of World Standards Day, we will talk about the various aspects of food standard. Standards touch almost every aspect of our daily lives. They ensure that products Standards touch almost every part of our daily lives. They ensure that products, processes, and services work the way that we expect them to, making life safer and more enjoyable. Food Safety Works is a team of food technologists, microbiologists, nutritionists who are focused on food business for providing end-to-end solutions. With the cumulative experience of over 100 years, we have a thorough understanding of national and international standards. Since our foundation, we have helped over 50 businesses in setting up and implementing FSMS, which is Food Safety Management System, in various factories, catering units, and cafeterias. So far, we have trained over 2,500 people on food safety and conducted over 3,000 audits. We are also a FOSTAC training partner from FSSAI. World Standards Day is celebrated every year on 14th of October. This year's focus being sustainable development. It is jointly celebrated by ISO, IEC, and ITU. In order to share the knowledge on food standards, I would like to introduce our speaker, Ms. Sarika Agarwal, who is the Managing Director and Principal Consultant of FoodSafetyWorks. She is a BTech in Food Technology and has been leading the company since 2009. With over 15 years of experience, she is leading expert in food safety and only women principal consultant in Quality Council of India. She has won many awards and accolades like Emerge Award for Best Startup, and she was also a part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women Entrepreneurs Program. Her articles regularly appeared in various magazines, and to name a few would be QCI's magazine called Quality India. She is a well-known conference speaker who has given several talks and also in several colleges like CUSAT, Jain College, and the Indian Institute of Plantation Management.
Thank you, Molly.
Moving forward, let us take a quick look at the outline of the webinar. So basically, we will talk about what is the confusion since there are so many standards. Why do we need standards in the first place? What are the different standards in the food industry? Structure of a food standard. What is GFSI? Basic food standards and what are the GFSI recognized food standards? And the ideal question of this webinar, and Ms. Sarika will be answering the question, which standard is right for you? At the end of the session, we have saved about 15 minutes for a Q&A session. So you can all type in your questions and we will take our time to answer the question one by one. With this, I would like to hand it over to Ms. Sarika. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you for such a good start. So yeah, so the first question is, are you confused, right? With so many standards that are there available. So let's start from the beginning. Sure. First of all, why do we need standards? What is that put us saying like, have this standard or that standard? First and foremost thing, standards are like recipe, right? We do ensure you follow standards to ensure that we do something to the best of our abilities. It allows us to establish, measure, and assure a certain level of quality and predictability. You know exactly what you are doing. You know exactly how you need to handle things. right? That is where you need your standards to be. Improves efficiency. I think most of you will agree with me today out here. It helps you to improve your quality, your safety, your lead time of products, your services. So overall, if you see, by the end of the day, you will improve your efficiency in overall aspects. Reduction in cost. And how does that happen with the standards coming in? It helps you to lower your cost through minimizing your errors, redundancies, and increasing your productivity. So overall, by the end of the day, it would be a win-win situation. I do understand when you start implementing, there's a lot of cost, but then over a period of time, definitely there could be, reduction in cost and more efficient product that will be coming out. Boost customer confidence. Once you have your standards implemented, anybody getting a product out there, right? The people are happy. The acceptance of your product or services into your marketplace gives more boost to your customers. So definitely having a system standard in place, right? So for example, if you have something which is coming out from a factory which is certified versus a product which is coming out which is not certified, your confidence definitely goes to a product which comes out from a premises which is having a standard which is certified out there. Consistency. I think, the picture talks about it, saying like hitting the bullseye, right? Every time that you do the same thing, unless you don't have the same process being followed, consistency wouldn't come. So having a standard helps everybody working in the system to help you get out the consistent product. Mitigating risk. While you're working in a production unit, there are various risks, not only your business risks, but your food safety risks as well. So having a standard in place will help you well advance in time to identify, recognize the risk that would be there in your businesses, your supply chain, and your process as well. Improve supply chain. Everybody in the chain has increased, right? From farm to fork, it changes multiple hands as on today. So everybody in the system making sure, has a standard in place, definitely boosts, the other or reduces the work that the other guy has to do, because you already know that the systems and processes for your supplier is in place, which also helps you to improve the supply chain. So everybody from farm to fork having a good standard implemented helps you to improve your supply chain. Facilitate trade. So we all know from India, we export a lot, right? And having a confidence from the other countries is one of the reasons having a standard in place. You have a good standard, you definitely will exchange more hands, right? You will basically be exporting more of your products. So the moment you say, yes, my facility is, having this standard certified or having this standard in place, the clients will come in more. So that also helps you to facilitate trade in the whole country or whole, world out there. So standards in food industry, why do we need this standard? What is that, right? There's a high risk. I think we keep looking at it, how many frauds happen, what type of recalls happen, how many rejects happen. So it's important for us to make sure that we have systems, processes in place to avoid all of these risks. And food is something that goes inside your body, right? Food, water, and if you are not consuming a safe product, then finally you have to land up with the medicines out there. So it's important for you to ensure you have a good standard at your manufacturing units or the food that you are handing out there. Now, looking at product standards and process standards, definitely yes, People think having any standard implemented, they can endorse the product. No, that's not the thing. So there are few product standards and there are few process standards. So if you look at your product standards, right, they are more rigid and mandatory, wherein your process standards are still the voluntary type. It's not mandate for you to have a ISO 22000 or FSSC or a BRC or a IFS, right? So nobody says saying like implement this. It's voluntary, action that as an organization you take it. And if you look at your product standards, BIS, your organic, the moment you are saying my product is organic, you have to ensure that your product meets the requirement. Your product is organic, right? You're vegan, you're sattvic, you're egg mark. So there are various product standards which can be, the logos of these standards can be put on your products, wherein the voluntary standards, the process standards that you have, your GMP has the ISO, FSSC, IFS, these are more saying like you are producing a product under a safe environment, right? The chances of contamination is pretty low. So you cannot use these logos in products. It's not a logo endorsement, your product endorsement out here. It's about your process systems, saying that yes, you are following the right process. So you need to understand, saying like, is it okay for you to put saying like a ISO certified on your product or no, right? Is it okay to put a FSSC on your product or no? No, you can't put it. It's not a product endorsement. So you need to understand the difference between your product endorsement and your process standard, what you have. So we'll focus today more on your process standards, right? Saying like, what are these voluntary standards, which helps you to grow your business, which helps you, helps your client to have an assurance, saying like, yes, you have a system in place and you are taking care of your processes, which reduces the contamination and your product is safe for consumption. So if you look at the structure of your food standard, your GMPs, your PRPs, right, are the base, the foundation of it. You have to have a good, PRPs in place, good manufacturing practices in place. If you do not have that, if your foundation is not strong, you cannot build on that. So everything, builds on your PRP requirements. So the various PRPs that you have, like your infrastructure, right, your personal hygiene, all of those falls out to these, you have to have a good system in place. Building on that comes your HACCP, right? HACCP doesn't matter which standard are you going to implement. HACCP becomes the core of every standard. Okay, it's the core of it. You have to make sure you do your hazard analysis, critical control point out there, identify your risk, put your control measures, have your systems up and running. So having just your HACCP, so there's a management system that also builds in to make sure you have your senior management commitment into it, right? Your quality management systems, making sure your business risks have been addressed. Your senior management also shows the equal amount of interest into the system that you're building in. It's just having the documentation is not sufficient, but then making sure you have the right resources to work on the systems is equally important, and that can be provided only by the senior management. And the leadership is something which needs to be in there as well. Apart from that, we will, we do have GFSI recognized standards. The GFSI is Global Food Safety Initiative, saying like, this is one body which says, okay, all these standards, these are your requirements out here as per GFSI, and different standards do meet those requirements and they are equal in nature. So we will discuss about the GFSI, what are those standards which are there a little bit in detail a little later. So if you look at the complete structure of your food standard is GMP, GHPs out there, then comes your HACCP, then comes your management system, your senior management commitment, right? And then your GFSI requirements, because those are little more additional requirements like your food fraud, food defense that comes into this. So if you look at, what is GFSI, right? Global Food Safety Initiative. And this is in collaboration with your consumer good forum, right? And it brings together 42 retailers and manufacturers from across the globe out there. The purpose of GFSI is on the food safety, what to be done and not how to be done. So the whole purpose is what can we do to ensure that the food is safe. Doesn't matter where are you, manufacturing a product, but across the globe, when you are sending it, it's same, you have the same standards that you have been put. We've just put in few examples of your GFSI certified programs. Your BRCGS is one of them, FSSC 22000, SQF, IFS, there's a Global Gap, there are many more. So we've just highlighted few of them. You can visit the GFSI website page as well to find the complete list of these recognized certification programs. So if you have to look at your basic food standards, okay, so GMP, as we spoke about it, so mainly if you look at it's US FDA and European Union who have recognized, worked on it, and the basic work out here is production of safe food. Mostly if you see a WHO GMP is practically implemented in the pharma industry. Yeah, so a little bit of food industry as well, but mostly it's implemented with the pharma industry. It's not a GFSI recognized, and worldwide it's been implemented out there. HACCP, it's mainly a principle-based guideline, right? CST RCP 1969-2020 is the version that's there, which has been implemented. If you're looking at the HACCP, that's something which you need to look at. Apart from your GMP requirements, it talks about the risk-based analysis. Then you completely look at saying what type of risks are involved. So I think you all understand there are these three different hazards, which are the physical, chemical, biological, which is what we are trying to address through doing a risk-based analysis. It's not a GFSI recognized standard, and yes, the whole world. So it doesn't matter which standard is it, whether it's ISO or it's a FSSC or it's like BRC or IFS or SQF or any other standard. All of them has a core to it. So if you do not have a HACCP, then it's not a food safety management system. So the next is your ISO, 22000, which is your food safety management system. And I think it's pretty much, everybody knows about ISO 22000, and it's mostly in India, especially. Yeah, we are more comfortable implementing ISO 22000. If you look at it, it's not a GFSI recognized, but it's a part of, FSSC, which we will talk about it. So it's a part of FSSC, which is a globally recognized standard out there. It's been implemented worldwide again, and there's FSMA, which is US FDA is the one which holds the FSMA. It's a Act Food Safety Modernization Act out there. It's little hazard because it works on your preventive controls, not only on your hazard analysis, right? It talks about more of your supplier, more about controlling your suppliers. How do you make sure the hazards don't come into your premises itself, or see to that whether who's the person who's controlling the hazards out there. So it's more of a little more advanced than just about the hazard. It's more about the HACCP out there. It's not a GFSI recognized. And then, yes, mostly if you are exporting to US, right? Or if you are manufacturing in US, you need FSMA implemented out there. So talking about GFSI recognized standards, most of you might have heard about FSSC 22000, right? It's started in 2005 and it is a combination. So GFSI has its requirements. So every standards have to meet those requirements. Looking at it, so FSSC has 3 parts to it, basically. It talks about your TS 22002-1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Depending on which category are you going to implement. And then it has ISO 22000 to it, and plus additional requirements of that. So it's if you have to implement FSSC, it's ISO 22000 plus TS 22002-1, right? And then your additional requirements, wherein TS 22002 talks about your PRPs. ISO 22000 is more about your business risk, food safety risk, right? And your additional requirements is more about your food defense, food fraud, controlling your service providers and all of those out there, right? And major countries, it's been approved or accepted worldwide. Your validity of this is 3 years. Once you are certified, you have your surveillances every year. And it's more about your scoring system. So that's how your FSSC goes about it. So we'll talk about a FSSC more in detail for specifically for SMEs, right? So if you are from a small and medium, enterprise solution, so FSSC has 3 levels of implementation. So how do you go about a complete, implementation out there? Now moving to your BRC, standards. So what happens is it talks about your integrity, safety, legality, your operation controls, all of them. How different is it, right? It's like every year, yearly certificate. So you have to go undergo the certification audit every year. And it's a grading system. Basically, you will see on your certificate if you are BRC certified, AA or a or a B or a C, D, right? So that's how you get your grading systems done for BRC. And then if you have a AA plus or a A plus or a B plus or a C plus or a D plus, so that mentions saying that you have undergone an unannounced audit. Okay, so the plus mark says so. The thing is, with your BRC, IFS, you can voluntarily go for an unannounced audit, which helps you to put a plus mark out there. That is how your customers would know, saying like what type of systems that you have, and are you going for an announced audit or an unannounced. With the SQF, again, it's based on your hazard principles. Right, major country is your Australia, and it's again a 1-year certification, saying like every year you have to undergo a renewal, and it has a rating system out there. So for your rating system, how does it go? Is like if you for your SQF, if you have grading or a percentage that you have received between 96 to 100, you have an excellent written on your certificate, and that certificate gets issued. If you have between 86 and 95, it's a good, right? And your certificate gets issued out there as well. With 70 to 85%, it comes as a C. And if you comply with it, the certificate gets issued out there as well. But between 0 and 69, you fail to comply and your certificate is not issued. So that is how, the marking in your SQF happens. And for your IFS, again, It's worldwide, once in a year. And your scoring system, depends on your assessment results. So if it's more than 95% or equal to 95%, you get it into a higher level. If you are, more than 75% or equal to 75% to 95%, you get into a foundation level. And lesser than 75%, you're not passed. So what happens is you have to go for a follow-up assessment. One difference that that I can mention out here between the standard is IFS has a negative marking system out here. If you are not complying with it, you go ahead and you get a negative marking. So that's how your scoring systems work out. When do you get for your BRC? When do you get a AA, A, B, C, and all? It all depends on your non-conformances. How many non-conformances have you got? If you have got 5 or fewer, then if it's an announced audit, you get a AA, right? If it's an unannounced, then you get A plus. If it's 6 to 10 non-conformances, then you get a A. So the whole thing about scoring rating systems are depending on the non-conformances, depending on how you have performed on your audit. That is how your scoring systems are, right? So if I have to put a little more light on the FSSC 22000, the reason behind is we in India have a lot of SMEs, unorganized sectors, and FSSC has this system wherein it provides you a 2-level approach, and it helps to develop and implement food safety system. Otherwise it would be difficult for you to achieve it at a one step. So how does that go is you go ahead and do a self-evaluation, right? And if you need any support to it, you go ahead and, so you go ahead and get the trainings, done. That's however optional. And then you go ahead, if you're meeting with the level 1 requirement, you go ahead with the conformity assessment for the level 1. If while doing a self-evaluation, if you think you meet the level 2 requirement, you directly go for a level 2 conformity assessment. So if you are at a level 1, so it's a simpler, evaluation. If you are at a level 1, the checklist, the requirements are simpler compared to your level 2. So you make sure you adhere to those, requirements and go ahead for a level 1 assessment. So once you have gone to the level 1, assessment, gone through it, you have the level 1 assessment confidence, you build on that, and then once you implement, you go for a level 2 conformity assessment, which is a little more requirement from your level 1, right? More specific requirements. And then once you are done with your level 2, on the 3rd year, you go for your FSSC 22000 certificate. So you'll be in your 3 years, you'll make sure you are there with your FSSC certificate. So that is specifically designed for your SMEs and especially for your manufacturing units, which are into startups and in food product and ingredient manufacture, your novel foods, manufacturers of food products for delivery to restaurants and retails. The other category is your catering category, right? Who are basically having a catering facility, hospitals, schools, restaurants, hotels, hospitality sectors, food services, and stores. And also the retail guys can, like your supermarket, hypermarket, retail markets like your bakeries and butchers, wholesale stores, club stores, food halls, department stores can also go for this, different level evaluation, and then finally in the last of the 3rd year, go for the final certification. So that's something, which is with so much of unorganized sector that we have, there is the provision that you slowly build up on it and then go for a final certification as well. Now, coming back to, which standard is right for you.
So, ma'am, just a quick question, like, since we are talking about, you have been in this industry for quite some time, like you are here for a very long time. So you have seen, the evolution, if we can say, of this industry. So if we can see, can you tell us, like, is there a difference is there a shift of, the business owners or the customers from the time that you have started, when FSSAI did not exist, like we say it always, right? Is there a shift in this customers or the business owners in terms of standards?
Right. So, so what has happened earlier, I think it was just the export houses which were, aware about these standards, implementing these standards, because that was a push from the customers. Because, if you're exporting, definitely the customers, outside the country needed some assurance, and the assurance was given through implementing these standards, right? So, but then what has happened, if you look at it, the paradigm shift, and especially after the COVID, everybody has become sensitive, and everybody wants the product which is more hygienic, which is more safe to consume. So everybody started looking at the products which come into their hand. So that also means everybody who's manufacturing has to have some type of, discipline or some type of system in their units to make sure, the product which is going out is safe for the consumption. So people are looking out, people are getting aware about, what's coming into their hands. They have started looking at the clean labels as well, saying like, does my product have this ingredient? What ingredient? What does that INS number mean? So everybody is like becoming more and more conscious about what they are eating. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for answering the question. I think it's important that, we see a lot of customers who are looking to, get more and more products which are certified, or the companies which are having good reputation per se. So I think then we can move on.
Yeah, and it's also at times is the customer push. Like a lot of MNC companies have made sure, that the raw material supplier, their supplier are, are certified against one or the other standard. So that's the norm. When they put the, requirement for the supplier, they say, okay, my supplier has to be at least, ISO certified, or they have to be, certified against one of the GFSI recognized standards. So I think it's a customer push which helps you to, make sure your suppliers or the whole food chain is getting aware and implementing the standards and processes at their premise. Yeah. So now, how do you decide which standard is right for you? We just spoke about saying like your customer. Your customer is the driving point. Okay, your customer is the person who will say, yes, I need this standard. If you are exporting to EU countries, they will look at saying like BRC, do you have a BRC GS standard? If you are exporting to, Gulf countries, then they will say saying that a minimum hazard is required. So where is your customer? You need to understand your customer. You need to know, what type of standard. So customer becomes a big driving force for you while you are deciding which standard is the requirement. Maturity of business and how, as an organization, right? How are you? Where are you as on today to implement the standards? So because it takes a lot of effort, not only from the QA perspective, because generally people see saying that, oh, you know what, I will have the documentation and I will get my place certified. That's not enough. Sustainability is something which every standard has started looking into. How matured are you as an organization? That is important for you to understand. Is your management committed to provide you with the resources, or is it just the customer push for which you are going to do, which is not going to be sustainable? There can be like infrastructure challenges, which might take you quite a time to implementing. So it's not easy saying like, yes, in 3 months or 4 months, I'll have my systems up and running and getting myself certified. So it's important for you to understand how knowledgeable are your people, how supportive is your infrastructure, how committed is your management towards implementing that standard, because without that nothing can move in. So I have to make sure you can see a beautiful picture right there, right? Then like you have to slowly develop and have things building on it. That's important for a sustainability. Cost of certification. So how much is it? How does it, that's the first question. Yeah, everybody comes back saying, like, what would be my certification cost? So the complete certification cost could, basically be based on the man days that your auditor has to spend at your premises, right? So it also, if you're looking at an expert consultant, then definitely how good is your team? How much effort is your expert going to put in? It matters on that. How many HACCP lines do you have? What is the number of employees do you have? So there's a calculation that happens based on all of these parameters, which will help your certifying body to tell you, saying what would be a cost, right, of certification that will be going in. So it's not just saying like, okay, my neighbor has, one line running and he might would have spent a lakh. And then you have like 4 lines running with different SKUs. So definitely that could be a change in your pricing. I know, we are pretty sensitive to the cost, but then you have to look at saying like what type of systems processes. Consumer customer awareness, that's important. What type of requirement is it there in the market? How sensitive is a consumer, right? If you saying like, no, it doesn't matter whether I'm HACCP certified or no HACCP certified, my consumer, for them, it doesn't matter. Then are you really going to look at, yes, it's a voluntary system. It's good in perspective of you can save on your productivity, your efficiency, mitigations, and all of those. But then it's important for you as a business owner, as an implementer, to make your people aware as well, saying that, hey, we are certified. And, that also means we have a system in place, process in place, and we can help you in case there is a, any deficiencies, anything out there. Helps in a branding, yeah, most of the time, I think, it's a marketing tool as well, right? Saying like, because it's a requirement, correct? So a lot of companies, a lot of your customers, a lot of your clients do ask you for FSSC or BRC or IFS because that's their requirement. So it builds a confidence in your clientele. It helps you to brand your products better, which will help you saying like, yes, we are already BRC certified or FSSC certified or ISO certified. So what happens, you will definitely have more business coming in as well. Nature of business. So depending on, a complete saying of what type of business you are handling. If you're packaging, then you have to look at a standard, which is more specific, saying like the IOP for your BRC, right? That is more into your packaging. So if it's a processed food, what type of standard would you look at? For your retail, what type of standard you have? Storage, if you're doing so, what is that, what type of business you are handling? What type of standard you need? What is your consumer or your customer expectation? You have to look at all of those when you decide for your standards. If you are having a biochemical, right, and your requirement by your By your client is saying like I need is some standard. Maybe you can just go for a ISO 22000 unless it says yes GFSI approved and all approved, then you go for FSMS or BRC. So completely, you decide on what type of standard you need is different factors that plays well, saying like, okay, this is what you have and this is what you do, right? So it's not just one pointer. You have to go back and see how good is your infrastructure, how good are your people, how good is your leadership team, how good is your management commitment, what is your requirement from your customer end or your clientele, what type of business are you running. So there are like different factors that plays in. It's not just one pointer saying that, okay, this is what it is, and I will go for this, certification. So there can be at times your budgetary, monetary restrictions as well. So you need to see, say, like, how do you develop, right? So I'll just give an example out here. So I was doing an audit for one of these, doing a assessment basically. So wherein what we realize the infrastructure out there, it's a pretty old premises, and the setup is like they have a wooden flooring. And we all understand for the food industry, wooden flooring is something, it's not accepted, right? And now what do we do? Definitely, yes, the resources have to be provided there to make sure the flooring is smooth with no crevices, right? All of those are your food safety requirements. So now, can we go ahead and implement a standard there? No, it wouldn't be possible for us. So you have to see holistically, saying like, what are those factors which can be a hindrance when I'm doing it, and what can be my plus points, and how can I take which standard do I implement at my premise? Yeah, so that's from me, Molly. If we have any questions, anything, please.
Thank you, ma'am. So I think we have one question, which is what are the standards that are specific to doing business in India, and what are the standards specific for doing business abroad, especially in the US, is one of the questions that we have got.
Okay, yes. So in India, we do not have a mandate requirement. It's still a voluntary requirement. As in FSSAI does say have a HACCP, okay? While you are applying for your licenses, a HACCP plan or a food safety management plan is important for you to apply for. That also means you already should have a HACCP in place. Okay, that's a mandate requirement by the regulatory body. For US, you need to have a FSMA in place. And if you are exporting from here, then you have to have a foreign verification supplier program in place. That also means you have to have the complete requirement by what FSMS is implemented. You're on mute.
All right. Yes, ma'am. So I think it was an amazing session, and I think we have got a lot of insights, and I'm sure everyone who was there, have taken their time out to join the session, have got some valuable information with respect to the standards per se. And I would again thank you thank to you, Ms. Sarika, and also to everyone who has joined. And this session, I think, would be available in our YouTube channel. So you can go to our Academy portal and join the session and see the session again if you wish to. Or if there's any feedback for the session, you can write to us on feedback@foodsafetyworks.in. And also, if you have any topics that you would specifically want us to cover, you can also write back to us, and we will definitely try to cover them in our next webinars. I think we are more than happy to take in new topics, which our customers or our team out there is looking for us to handle. And also, especially for this World Standards Day, there is one free program that we are offering, which is the free inspection for businesses. So basically, if you want us to do a free inspection in your property, we would do the free inspection, and we would tell you basically what gaps you have. So if you are looking to implement any standards, so we can, so stay tuned, I would say, to our, social media handles so that you get the latest updates on that. And I think we have another question which has come in, ma'am. So I think we can answer that.
Sure, Mami.
So the question is regarding HACCP certification. Nowadays in India, HACCP is picking up. And if we want to get a formal certification for HACCP, what should we go for? Like a Codex HACCP or an India HACCP certification is the question.
So I would say go for a Codex HACCP, right? That is where the HACCP is based out of. It's more of a guidelines though. But then, yeah, Codex HACCP, India HACCP is also based out of Codex HACCP. So go for a Codex.
Okay, this question was from Mr. Himanjot Singh. So thank you, sir, for the question, and I hope we have answered the question. And there's another question from Ms. Parna Sarkar. So the question is, could you please explain a little bit about food safety and food quality? I think that is what the entire idea of us is, like food safety and food quality. So I think.
Okay. Yeah. So safety is something which makes sure the food is safe for consumption, which is free of your physical, chemical, and biological hazards, right? And food safety is same for everybody, doesn't matter what it is. Now, if you look at the quality, right? If you look at the specifications, right? Your food has to be safe, but your quality can differ based on your grading system, based on your color, based on other parameters, your physiochemical parameters. Saying like one client of yours might be asking a little viscous product, wherein the other one doesn't want that same type of, characteristics in your product. So quality remains the same, doesn't matter, whom are you serving, but the quality specifications can vary. A little lighter color versus a little darker color, right? That is how I would like to put it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, so I think that's all for the questions. I don't think we have any more questions. So again, I would like to tell everyone that we are having, a free giveaway inspection for any business that would want, any standard implementation. So you can see what are the gaps that you are facing in, in your business. So if you want us to do the free inspection for you, so you can write us in our website. There are a lot of email IDs available. You can write back to us, or you can also follow our social media handles like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We would definitely post some, posts in each of these social media handles very soon. So stay tuned for that. And you can also check out our academy portal for regular trainings and that, webinars that we conduct in www.foodsafetyworks.com/academy portal. And while you are there, please do not forget to subscribe to our newsletter and also to our YouTube channel. It would be really helpful for you because we keep putting a lot of news out there. And thank you once again for joining. Have a good rest and see you again in another webinar session. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.